Right there. Okay.
Wherever you want it. How many of you have loaded smokers and we may as well start from the start.
From the beginning.
Yeah. So anyway, down in Florida here, we got the lovely pine needles. They work about the best. They're readily available and they're free. So it's an ideal thing. So you take advantage of it when you can. They're in the bottom of your smoker. There's a little grate. Okay. When you get them brand new, the legs are folded in. So you got to open the legs. So you got that little, 1-inch gap at the bottom so that the air goes underneath everything. So just so everybody knows, okay? So you bend out your legs because some people get brand new smokers and they never bend out the legs and they just start packing it. So that's that. Now, when I pack them, you can either do it one of two ways. You can either just use pine needles or you can use the pellets and pine needles. What I would do is like a handful of pine needles, a little handful of the pellets, and then just keep alternating until the unit's full. Basically, I just take it, pack it in there. My hands are like leather, so I usually don't get stuck. If your hands are gentle, you're not calloused. Wear gloves doing this because like the bamboo skewers under the nails, it hurts like hell. So, and I've had it happen. So anyway, let me finish packing this. So anyway, now you got to pack it fairly well. I mean, if you pack it light and you light it, you're not gonna have a good longevity. It'll burn up on you in 5 minutes, and then you're packing it when you're halfway through your inspection, which kind of sucks. Now I cheat. I use a torch. Okay, I just blast the side. It will light. Okay, that's the easy way. I light my smoker quite often throughout the day. I do the removals and everything like that, so I don't want it lit when I'm driving in my car going one spot to the other, so I just torch the side, light it. It will shorten the life of your smoker. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit here, pull this back out. And for those of you who have a lighter, this is the way Melissa does it, and this is the way most of you probably going to do it. So you get your initial thing going here.
Don't burn your hands because sometimes it flames right up.
So once you got that going,
you're tough.
Okay, you just get it going. You gently just keep going. And then you're packing and smoking at the same time. And in sense, I don't wear gloves when I work my bees. One day you might get there, you might not ever get there. So, but the smoke gets on your hands and it's good when you're working the bees. So it's a benefit.
Why?
I'm sorry?
Why is it a benefit to have it?
Well, because it covers up your smell, and the bees, they smell smoke, they don't get defensive.
Okay.
So, whether the smoke's on your hand or whether it's in the air, it doesn't matter.
So it's
I've actually...
keeping them away?
Well, it doesn't keep them away, it keeps them from being aggressive and stinging. You can use the smoke and get your bees to move around on a frame or move into a box or away from the edge of the box when you're putting the lid on. I mean, you can use it to direct the bees, but you shouldn't be using that much smoke to where you're chasing your bees away. You want light smoke, and that's pretty much it. So anyway, so we got the smoker thing done for now. Everybody's got an idea. Let's see where yeah. So I'm not familiar with the bees, so it's always easy to take your gear off. It's harder to get it on when you're getting stung.
That's right. Yes. A lot.
So, you know.
I'm surprised how many times I've seen these groups of people, and guys will walk in and not zip their hood. They put it on and walk in, and I forgot to zip. And they got 3 bees inside. It happens quite often.
Yeah, and
Don't
bees.
forget to zip it up.
And don't freak out when the bees are inside, because they're typically just wanting out. But you know, if they start bouncing into you, then you gotta do the old crush thing. So anyway,
As much as you hate to, right? It's either sting them or get stung.
okay. So Melissa says this thing is queen right. I don't know how long it's been in here, but obviously everybody, this is one of Brad's swarm traps.
Beautiful swarm traps.
Okay, you got the bees on the lid there doing their thing. I don't see the queen there. It's always a good idea, because there is a percentage when you flip that lid, the queen is on there. Every now and again, I do see her there. So if you mess it up and you just slap it on the ground and she falls off, if she's heavy laying, she really can't fly. If she fell off a hive, she can fly downward, but she has a hard time taking off from the ground to go fly, and then she may not make it back up into the box. So you just want to be aware of where your queen is. Now, I look down in here, I can see the bees are at the back side. The front side, there's nothing there. So I always work my hives. I try to push everything to one side, and then I break off that first frame. Since I know there's nobody over here, I'm not going to hurt anybody by taking it out. Okay.
So Kevin, you're not really smoking them. You're just letting the smoke rise up.
No, I already gave them a puff.
Okay, that's it.
Typically, that's all you need.
Gotcha.
You don't, unless they start getting a little feisty. If they're happy, I let them be happy.
I set mine upwind, actually. I try to.
Yeah.
So that if it wafts, it
Just
just kind of
drifting.
keeps going that
Oh, we
direction.
do too. Kind of put it by the end. So it's just, I didn't actually
They're
see.
curious.
Like it.
I didn't see him cut them. I missed it.
Yeah, well, these ones, they haven't started drawing on them yet.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
So.
curious.
I'm going to let you walk it around so I don't have to walk so much.
All right, I'll let you walk around. This
My-
is just fresh comb here, folks. Is all.
Okay, now the bees
See how busy they are. Of course, there's no queen on there. That's what you're looking for. A nice fresh comb.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
good. Another week,
Once you
maybe.
see it.
So,
Oh, Freddie, look at that.
this is all cat brood over here. Kevin?
What's
Okay,
that?
well, I'll switch you.
All right.
This is cat brood. Yeah, with the yellow, I like using black frames just so I can see eggs and larvae easier. This yellow is very difficult to see eggs and larvae.
Got it. All right. Anybody want to look? Yep, we have the cat larva there.
He's on the garden part.
Lots of happy bees
Okay,
right there
now-
working it, keeping them warm.
If everybody's paying attention, whenever you're working the hive, you got to use your ears. Okay? You can listen to the tone. The bees, the level of buzz gets more intense, the more upset they get. This is about average. They are tending to fly around. I was in front of their entrance a little bit. So, we'll just give them a little puff,
Yes.
and that's it. And then sometimes you got to sit, wait a minute or two, and then you're good to go.
Change out your frames about every 5 to 7 years.
But by the looks of this cat brood, I don't see anything emerging yet. So this hive is less than.
Well, you got the careful yelling hanging in the back.
You can see a little bit of the young larva
Oh
right
yeah,
Wild bees.
they love to do that.
Wild bees.
Okay, Me personally, I don't leave that in my hive. So what we'll do is this box is set up. We got an 8-frame box on a 10-frame. Okay. So I'm going to look for the queen.
Lift up one of those things.
Yes, she could be.
Oh, this, yeah, that's just,
This is, I call it burr comb, wonky comb. It's pain in the ass comb. So, but we look for the queen because I don't want to shake her off of here. I'd rather pick her up and put her on something, okay?
if you turn like this,
So-
you should be able to see it. Yeah, you can see it.
And we got a little burr comb coming off over here. Okay, this is the burr comb. I will take that off because it just causes problems when you're working the hive. What happens is if you leave it on there and then down the road you go to pick out a frame, because I'll take frames out of the middle of the row or I'll take them off the wall, it doesn't matter. As long as you open them up and these frames are nice, you're going to give it a little puff. The bees aren't, but if you leave this on here, they'll extend it and then you're going to roll something. And you don't want to roll the queen. You know, you roll a worker bee, that's one thing, but you roll that thing and you roll the queen, then you're potentially going to screw up your whole hive. So, you know, that's a major issue.
Have you ever had any success, like if you can get the bees out there, smashing that back in and kind of?
I don't smash it, I just cut it off, and they're supposed to do what I tell them.
That's what
I rub it off so, because they make this line, so they're getting ready to go vertical with the comb. So I just scrape it back to take the bulk of the wax off, and then if I can see that line there, I'll just kind of give it a little with the tie tool. So, you know, once we,
Can I get a picture of the other side? Thank you.
okay, so there's your wonky comb. Okay, so I will actually take this along the bottom and just kind of work it off, and then I'll give it a little scrape. You know, just that area. I won't do it with the bees on there because I don't want to kill bees. So, and then the back is all buggered up.
You're gonna smoke them off of there, or?
I just give it a little light shake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So with the backside, would you just start trimming all of that off?
Yeah, see, I just start peeling that off like that, and then I'll get into there, you know. But I rather get the bees off of there because the queen sometimes hides under these things.
Now, if
So-
you've got a bigger sheet and you can get underneath it, if it's already starting to get some taproot, would you just do a cutout and go in?
No, it's too much work. For me, it is. As a backyard, if you wanted to try to save it, you could. But it's a lot of work, and what you're going to get, it's really not that much.
Yeah.
You know, so because they're not. You end up with foundationless comb in a box, which isn't bad, but you know, it's a little different. You know, it's if it's done right, it's perfectly fine. But if it's wonky or a little soft or a little whatever, it tends to be a pain. So, anyway, we have a lot of bees building up behind you. Can I get you to one, either a little this way or a little that way? It seems like that might be their pathway. Yeah.
That Brad's running around with a bunch of old clips in his pocket.
Yeah, they're all facing
Oh, is that what it is?
They're
Oh,
sniffing
okay.
him hard.
Yeah, usually when you're working your hive, you're kind of figuring things out. They're coming in this way, so their direction in and out of the hive is off that way and coming in. So you don't really want to work there because you get the pile of bees behind you, but they are kind of like
Working this way, yeah.
being weird.
They were all over me over there.
Oh, okay.
That's what we want
Oh,
to
so you
I
have
had the
some
clips in my pocket. And they were all
clips
over my
and queen
pocket.
pheromone and
You hold that, or drop this one back in here or there, but you gotta clean that.
yeah, I gotta fix this one.
This one here is really wonky.
When it got
She's
thin at
into it, I bet you.
Yeah. Now this one here has comb on the bottom. Let me give that a little shake. Okay, this corner here, does anybody know what that is? You see the dangling bees? Anybody know what it's called?
This
It's festooning.
See there.
said this frame is too short.
Well, this is a honey super frame in a deep box, so the bees will extend. If you want to build a drone comb area for drones, Okay, what you do is you put a honey super frame in between your deep frames. They will build directly off the bottom. This one's a little wonky, okay, because they wanted to do it that way. But you can see on the bottom there, typically during a honey flow, they will build this into drone comb, and they will lay. Bees want to make drones. At certain times of the year, they need to do it. They want to do it, and if you don't give them the opportunity, they will put drone comb wherever they can figure out to put it, which may not be where you get the comb that the burr comb where they're trying to do drones. So if you give them a spot, is another thing. I'm actually toying around with cutting a circle in some plasticell, so they have a spot that they have to rebuild, and they can rebuild that as drones. So, you know, like a, I don't know, like a 2-3 inch circle right in the plastic. You just get a hole saw and you cut it through, put that in there.
If you take that off, we put it in an unframed.
You can rubber band it into a foundationless frame, yes, but you want to do it you want to do something that's the right size. You don't want to have to do something where you're piecing it together,
Right.
okay? Because it'll make a mess.
What was the significance of the hanging one?
It's just what they do. Whenever you see a swarm hanging from a tree, they call it festooning. It's just, you know, it's just a phrase that we use in the beekeeping thing. I don't know who actually came up with it, but that's what they call it, and so that's a few of our older beekeepers' favorite word. So,
Well, what the festooning is actually they're plumb bobbing.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
measuring.
They're actually hanging when they go to lay that comb. How do they? You see the shapes?
Yeah.
That's the whole dealio right there. And if you measure it, it's 22.5 degrees basically. It's half the angle of natural repose. And that's how they hang and plumb bob.
Dragonfly on.
Okay, so you see this one hive that's on a pretty good angle over here?
Yeah.
Okay, they're using gravity, not the angle of that box. So if you go in there and things, if you're not on foundation, things can look a little different. They'll be a little sideways because they're not using the sides of the walls to build this stuff. They're old school, gravity, things like that.
So what would you do with that frame now with that on the bottom of it?
we're going to end up cutting it off because it's not in shape. You don't, when you pull out the frame later, it's going to rip and tear, and it's going to cause rolling of the bees. It's not going to be a straight piece.
But Eric, it also has brood on there,
Yes, it does.
so you can put it in and just keep
I-
managing it.
No, you know, there's probably
It depends on the. brood you have.
150 bees, 200 bees there. For a colony, it's really not enough. If it was a full sheet and it was capped, see, eggs and larvae is one resource. This is more premium resource. It's already capped and they've already fed and capped it. That's more of a premium. They're emerging in time. This is still more work
Yeah.
for the bees. So you
So
know,
you put that
you
in
got to
there.
evaluate
Yeah.
what they're doing and that type of thing. So we'll trim off that, see if we can straighten it out, and then we'll go from there. There's lots of larvae in here. They're drawn out here. Okay, this side has larvae in it. It's hard to see because it's yellow foundation. Okay.
White worms in there.
Okay. You see this little C-shaped larva in there? Try to angle the light to where it's if this, I like using black foundation.
I'd love to get a picture of that because I have a presentation for sixth grade school in a couple of weeks. So I'd love to have
Oh, she'll pick up the vlog. Yeah. Oh, here's the queen
there
right
she
there.
is.
Yeah.
There she is.
Yeah. She's a small queen.
How can you tell she's the queen?
Yeah, that's
Because her abdomen is longer and she's typically a different color.
So you have the queen there.
All the
Right
way
there.
onto the
Right,
side.
I figured.
She's all the way on the side. She's coming down the side. You see her sharing?
I'll go through and show everybody real quick. Okay, we'll start at this end.
There you go, give the cameraman a shot.
Right there.
See that?
Okay, I see her.
You don't have videos.
I don't mark any of my queens except for the ones in my when I'm doing my finished or starters,
Pictures were at that.
so that it just saves me time. Here's the queen there. Oh yeah, they're not easy. Oh my God.
The other night, somebody mentioned that right now, if you're marking issue green, is there a
There's a year. There's a color code. There's a color code that's used throughout the world. Okay, I think this year is white.
I think, yeah, we have to look it up, but since I don't mark my queens, I think
It's like they actually do it odd and even. Oh, where'd she go?
Just make sure you see eggs.
Yeah, there she is, right there. So, and when you go into your hives, you're not necessarily looking for the queen unless you have to specifically do something with her, like pinch her. And we're not doing that. So,
That's it.
okay, here she is, right there.
Awesome.
Okay. I don't mark them. People do. There is a color code, so you can keep track of how old she is. Yep, she's buried. Oh, she was actually just laying an egg. She had her tail in it. Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. If you watch her long enough, she's going to back in and she's going to dip her tail and lay an egg. Yeah, well, for the most part, you know, they're going to go, she put her head in there, she's going to walk up, there she goes. She just put an egg in there. So this is a laying machine here.
So what is she looking for in terms of
When she sticks her head, into the cell, she's measuring the cell walls with her antenna, so she can either fertilize that egg or not fertilize that egg. So that way you got the drone versus a worker bee. So
Inspecting for cleanliness. Okay.
there she goes.
Worker
Just
bees
the
have
tail
got
in
it
again.
properly prepped for her.
Here, right there. There she goes. Okay.
She's small but mighty.
Yeah. Sometimes everybody. Oh, I got a big queen. Blah blah blah. Sometimes these little queens just go to town.
Good job. She doesn't have a lot of big catalogs.
Right there. She's right there. She's laying eggs. You curl it. There she goes. She just dumped her tail in. Okay.
I mean, I know I have eggs, but I can't.
She's running around laying eggs.
Except that well, except if I'm trying to
So she's done. It's been about a minute, and she's done like 6 eggs.
keep them.
So they can lay up to 3,000 eggs a day if everything is ready for them. So in 21 days, you just got 3,000 eggs that are going to hatch out that day. Okay. So we got the queen on a nice, beautiful frame. We don't have to do nothing to.
pop it right in there next to the other.
Okay, which is a great thing. So this to me is the wall frame because we took it off the back wall. Don't mix up your frames. It's not like shuffling cards when you're working your bees, all right? So we put her back on the wall where she was. Now, we have nice pieces of comb. Yeah, that one I don't know if I want to throw in there. I don't want to put work on them. Let them draw out.
Grab another one.
Smoker's working good.
You love that pine needle.
Yeah. Anyway, see how this comb looks? When you have a dead out or you have a problem with the hive or whatever, and you see comb like this, throw it in the freezer. Buy yourself a little $50 used chest freezer that you can muck up and make a mess. Keep it outside under a cover, whatever. But throw your frames in there. That's the best way to preserve it that I've found. You can use totes, you can use paramoth, you can use some other stuff, but certain things work, other things don't. Freezers definitely work. Not only does it kill any wax moths or hive beetle larvae or anything like that, it will not kill fungus or disease. So there's a couple of things you can do. If you're worried about fungus or disease, you can take a chlorine solution with water, spray it, let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and then rinse it all off, shake off the excess water, let it dry, put it in the freezer. Take it out, 10-15 minutes, you can slip it right in a hive and they will go to town. Okay, so this frame is a beautiful frame for this queen here. So I'm going to actually put this one frame right next to the frame that she's on, so she has immediate space to lay. Okay?
According to my daughter that is here at this event, put more than 10%
Nice,
in,
nice.
you're wasting water.
This one I'll leave out to the outer edge. This is, see this little divot here? The size, this is from Apivar strips. This is from a treatment. So she's, Melissa stuck it here and it got pushed up against the side, so the bees cleaned it all out and laid a spot for it. And that the treatments are important. So you got to understand that bees need treatments to survive and keep healthy. Without the treatments, you know, you got people that want to go treatment free, don't want to do the bee thing, or do the treatments because they feel it's bad for the bees. Well, Varroa are worse. They cause disease, and the hives will eventually die, no matter what. So a little bit of treatment. If you go treatment free for a while, then you realize all this, and you put treatments in, you go, wow, it's so much different. I mean, I got photos of my comb that is so beautiful and pristine that it just makes all the difference in the world. Don't do honey supers and treat. You want to? My honey supers are my religion. They're off. I do my treatments. 2-3 weeks later, I can put honey supers back on. There's no chemicals ever in my honey supers or around my honey supers. So I'm pretty religious about that. So anyway, but I think treatments, in my opinion, treatments are so very, very important. And you don't want to use the same thing over and over and over and over. You gotta do one for 3-4 times, 2-3 times, then switch it up for 2-3 times, then maybe go to something else, or you go back to the other one. But you gotta give it a variety. You can't, because you definitely will lose your hives without treatments. So whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, and the only bad thing, if you don't do treatments, anybody around you, their Varroa counts are going to be worse. Even though they're doing treatments, their reinfestation is going to happen much faster because you got a Varroa bomb sitting over here. Every time bees fly out, they're taking Varroa, dropping them off at the plants around, and then other bee goes to that plant or comes near this hive and takes Varroa back to their hives. So it's just, I think it's a courtesy to try to, we will control Varroa better if everybody treats. Okay, so I gave one nice frame right up next to the nest. I'm going to put this one to the outside edge so when they get there, if they want to have storage for honey, they got storage. Okay, this is the one. This one's in good shape. Okay, I'm going to put that right next to there. Now these are the two that got the wonky on them. Okay, so we know the queen's not here, and we just kind of give it a little jiggle. And then all I'm going to do is where that's connected, just give it a little scrape.
You can do it like every 2 or 3.
You can actually put that in your smoker, and it'll help your pine needles burn slower, and it works quite well. So anyway, but I'm just knocking this out, a little bee bread there. Sorry girls, your labor was futile. Now this is the, so basically you can see what I've done. I tore that off, and there's still wax here, so the girls will rebuild, and that's that. Okay?
And you have to, part of it, you have to say, okay girls, try it again. Do what I want.
Okay, so I just kind of scraped it off. I made it flat. So they'll hopefully, and there's eggs in here. See the black? Now you can see the eggs on this black foundation. That's why I like black foundation. Okay, it's night and day. And you got the pollen, you got all the colors. And here you can see eggs. You got pollen. And this is where I took off. That's cat brood. Some more eggs over here. You see a little grain of rice down in the bottom.
And you remove that why?
Burr comb is a pain in the ass.
Okay.
And when you pull it out, if it's sticking out too wrong, then you roll bees. And if the queen's in the wrong spot, it's not good. I mean, you roll a worker bee, okay, that sucks. But you roll the queen, that really sucks. Here's eggs, cat brood, pollen. Okay, and that black foundation. You see how those grains of rice stick out?
Yeah.
Here's the wax. Okay. So we had one more piece of burr comb on the back, 2 little pieces here. This I just take off. I just go straight up the line here, and that excess wax I'll leave there, because they'll chew it off and recycle it. Right here. Right there and here.
This way, yeah. Don't shade it. Very nice.
Okay. So now this one, I'm going to take and put this up against the hive this way, because that's the way, this is where the cat brood is. I want to try to keep it all consecutive. You don't want to, I don't recommend checkerboarding. You can add 1 frame into the edge of a brood nest, which is good. Okay. Yeah. I didn't pack it very hard.
I was about to come move it on for you.
Okay. Here's a wonky comb. Okay. We don't want it to be wonky when we pull out the frame after it's in a hive box, okay? Yeah. You see you got the double frame there. So what I'm going to do, I don't like to kill too many bees. Give it a little shake. You don't want to like shake the snot out of it, okay? Okay. But
I'd probably be okay with that. I will give it one damn good shake, that first one.
Just a good little shake. Sometimes if you give it a little smoke, the bees get running around and they're not holding on, and boom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take and cut this piece off.
What do you put it off?
This one here. Huh? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So anyway, now we got this wonky piece that's got a curve, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we got larvae in there and stuff. We don't want to ruin it all. So what we do is we give this another little cut right along the line here, right? And we get rid of this stuff that's going to bind us up. And then I will just kind of push it back into line. So now we're like that. The bees will rebuild that.
Wow.
Okay, so we don't lose all that larva. Okay?
It's like a dog bone.
All right, so now the bees will fix that. They'll reattach it. They'll build it out. And then she's going to have a deep frame with an extension. And then later on, she can take it out, move it out to the edge wall after the brood hatches out, cut it off, leave it there, whatever. It really doesn't matter.
So it's only problematic if it goes like when it gets too wide. That's when it's problematic, Eric.
They're going to build down to the bottom.
No, I was worried you were actually putting the comb was too tall for it because it comes out of a bigger box. I figured.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It didn't hit the bottom board when you put it in.
No, it's not longer than a deep frame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, because that's longer.
See?
Yeah, well, the box here was
Is that
bigger.
past? Is it past?
Little, yeah, it is. That's why I'm saying it
You know what?
goes.
This is the bottom.
See that? That's what I was.
Okay. They'll chew it off or fix it, or we can fix it right now. There you go. Now it won't hit the bottom.
I say, Brad, you got these European style swarm boxes.
Okay, so we're going to put this, we're going to leave this one out, I think, right? No, this one we're going to put on the outer wall. So they got place to build.
So how do they look for food reserves? Do they need to be fed, or how do they look?
There's a little nectar source coming in. I mean, if you want them to grow faster, throw a jar of feed on them. They'll accomplish a lot more. You know, feeding is always a good thing. I would just throw a frame of foundation. You get a foundation?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. I guess it would just go faster. Thanks. Perfect house.
There's one thing you'll figure out is
Okay,
they don't build home for no reason.
Yeah.
They just don't. I put these in there and they'll draw them out. Why? They're not going to build home for no reason. It's that simple. You figure that out and you'll get farther.
So there's that.
You
So
give
now
them feed, that's a reason.
we're going to untie this thing. We got lots of bees in there, but we already know we got the queen in there, right? Okay? So we're not worried about where the queen is. She's in her box doing her thing. So with this being like this, and the box being the height it is, it kind of works out pretty good. So you can either do one of two things. If you shake it, if there's hive beetles or garbage in the bottom, it's going to end up in the new box. So we'll move the ladder so they don't get confused with the ladder, because they use that ladder as their line of sight and height. So we just give them some smoke. And we're going to end up with a bunch of bees in the air.
Yes, we are.
Sometimes you can give them a little hand here. If you're gentle, you don't get stung. Yeah, right.
Scooping bees.
Before or after you rip them apart.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to get them to find the landing for it. So, and then Melissa likes the inner cover with the round hole. Why is there a round hole there? You know what the mason jar lid looks like, right?
Yeah.
Fits right there perfect. If I had the measurement in my head, I could tell you.
2 3/4 inch.
2 3/4 inch, and then what you got to do is you got to take a pair of pliers and bend out 2 teeth across from each other just slightly, because then the lid will fit perfect, because it's just a little bit small. Now also, this inner cover has a, see that notch? Okay, that notch is a ventilation hole or an escape route. Okay, so always when you have an inner cover, always try to use the same side down. And that notch goes down when you have them, it doesn't go up. And when you don't have one, use the same side, because what happens is this gets propellized down to the box. And you can take your hive tool and put it between the box and the lid and get it off. You put your telescopic cover directly down and they propellize it, then you got to go up under the wall and pry out, and you wear and tear on your box and your lid. So this way, your lid will always come on and off fairly easy. And then you can get in between and pry, and you're not going to do any real damage. So they've got confused because, oh my God, our ladder moved. So, but they, 2 feet or 2 miles when you move bees. So now, give it a little puff in, girls, or you're going to get squished. I always give it a little wiggle, and you'd be surprised how far that bees get out of the way. I don't even think I heard a crush. No crunch.
You did good.
Okay? So this hive is doing well. Put the lids on. If there's any bees up here, they won't get crushed because there's a space. If they're on the wall, they will. So again, now with that vent, you see the vent here?
Yeah.
You can either make it out the back or the front, whichever way each beekeeper comes up with their own reason. So the lid, if the vent's in the front, when you go to move your bees, you pick it up. Let me get it down first. Okay, no crunch, good. Now, when it's all the way back, that vent is sealed. I got a fingertips width in here in the back. If I move it forward, that hole is open now. So bees can go in and out, they can ventilate air. So that's good. But on a regular basis, if you go to move it, push your hive back, screen it off, tie it together, and you can move it, the bees won't leak. If it's all the way to the front, you go to move it after you screen out. Where's these bees coming from? Oh, we got a vent hole. Okay? So, and a lot of times I've moved them and had the vent hole in the back, not paying attention, and I'm walking along, all of a sudden, oh, crap. You know? So, that's it. So another thing I want to do, because the hive was over here, I want to give them the direction. Okay, this I think will give them a little more airflow, and hopefully they find the entrance better. Okay, we'll get the smoker out of the way because we don't want to confuse them any more than they are. And that's the transfer. A lot of guys, you know, they have swarm traps up. They don't put foundations in them. The bees will build on the roof, and it's all foundationless comb. That's when you got to break out with the rubber bands and the frames without, you know, number 64 rubber bands. Don't use the skinny ones, they don't last long. Remember, number 64 rubber bands, they fit the deep frame perfect. See, now they're migrating. They seem to be going underneath for whatever reason. They haven't got the memo. It's above the thing, but they'll figure it out. Is this screen? Ah, that's why. Okay.
They will figure it out.
Okay. Now let's meander over here. Let me pack this thing up a little more. Now normally I pack this thing really hard and I don't have to worry about, I can almost go all day.
Eric, there's a question. What do you bait your swarm traps with, and how often?
I got a homebrew I use because I requeen a lot. I got old queens, I got feral queens. I take the rubbing alcohol. I take a bottle of lemongrass oil. I put them in a jar, and then every time I pinch a queen, or I don't actually pinch them, I throw them into the mix while they're alive, and I can literally count 1, 2, 3, and they're done. That's how fast they die. They excrete their pheromones into the alcohol. So and then that mixture actually turns kind of a reddish orange. But I can drip that stuff anywhere. I like to take Q-tips, and I have melted wax, and then I'll dip the Q-tip into the mix, and then I dip it into the wax, and then I wait, dip it in wax again 2-3 times, and then I snip the toothpick in half. So I got 2 swarm lures. I can throw this in that one, throw it in that one. It works great.
If somebody doesn't have dead queens, would you suggest mixing the alcohol and the lemongrass, or just?
At that point, I would go out and purchase some swarm lure. They have different varieties of swarm lure, this or that. They can, you know, there's always resources in your hives. Obviously, you don't want to be, you know, a little propolis in there helps. Sometimes it gives it a little more smell, that type of thing. But the commander or swarm lure, they work well. And they come in little capsules. You can order them in the little capsules already done. Throw it in. It's, you know, always have a packet of them. They say if you keep them in the freezer, they don't wear out. So when you need it, you throw it in the box, and then you can, if you really want to prolong it, you can, after the swarm moves in, you can take the capsule, put it back in your pack in the freezer, and then when you set up swarm lures again, you can reuse it. So, but they work really well.